What's up, everyone? This is your host, Jose Marquez, and I want to welcome you to the Sunday BYOB podcast on YouTube. BYOB means Bring Your Own Bible, and our goal is to make it come alive for you. We invite a wide range of guests to share their stories of triumph, joy, victory, and sorrow, and each episode is designed to talk about real issues with real people about a real God. We hope that you are curious, because if you are, you have tuned into the right place. Let's go. What's up, everybody? Welcome to a new episode of Sunday BYOB. I am super excited today. We got someone that came all the way from Staten Island, New York. Amanda, say hello to the audience.
Hello, I'm so excited to be here.
First timer, which is always fun. Also next to me is my beautiful wife, Ana Rosa Marquez. I think I'm saying that Rosa differently.
Very like campesino. My name is so like Spanish.
And we're going to have some fun today. One of the things that I've been kind of thinking on and meditating on in the past few weeks is some of the things that I miss about what church used to be. And I know there's a whole lot that I don't miss, right? I don't miss the legalism. I don't miss the man-made rules. I don't miss the judgments, the condemnations. I don't miss all of that. But one of the things that I do miss when I grew up in church, right, there wasn't as many polished communicators. There weren't as many polished exhorters and theologians and scholars, right, that could get behind a mic and break the word down to such a to the little nits and bits of it and to make us understand. But the way that they used to preach the gospel was by way of stories. They would share what they had been through. They would share their experiences. They would share their encounters with God, and God would use that in a powerful way. And I think that we've kind of strayed from that, right? Like we've made the gospel very what's the word that I'm looking for? Intellectual. And a lot of times I feel that we take out the experience of it. And because of that, we see less experiences when the gospel's being preached.
Yep.
Yeah. Daniel said this. Daniel said, yes. And it becomes an academic book, right? Like they preach the Bible like if it's an academic book at times. There was a prophet in the Old Testament. He said, it seemed good to me to show the signs and wonders that the Most High God has done for me. Right. And when I read that, I'm like, we need to find a way back to that. And the reason we have Amanda with us today is because I believe she has a story to tell. I believe you guys are going to enjoy this story, especially the young ladies, the women. There's going to be certain questions that we're going to ask because I really feel that your story blesses with today's woman in a very powerful way. And I know my wife has some questions for you as well.
Love questions.
But I want to start off by just opening it up for you so you can share who you are, what you do, how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, I feel like that's always a loaded question, and I'm always like
how far back are we going?
Yeah, I'm like, well, my mom thought about having a third kid, but then, but just kind of a quick catch up on who Amanda is. By trade, I'm a photographer. At my church, I'm a live stream producer. So it's cool because I get to merge the career aspect with the serving aspect, and I get to put those two together. And
I think you're being very modest. She's an amazing photographer. We're going to put in her Instagram account on the description because you guys have to book her. Yeah. If you're getting married, she's the one.
Thank you. But in spirituality, I was raised a Catholic. I got further from God because of, so I'm not used to the old school Christian Pentecostal, I don't have that, but I have that idea of like, I had to run away from God because he was going to smite me because of the things I was doing. So in turn, I didn't have a relationship. And it wasn't until Kuhau, the church that we're at, where I mean, it's a complete 180 from who I was before. So I'm still learning about myself in every single aspect of my life, but that's kind of me in a nutshell.
I love that. I've heard Ruben kind of share, and Ruben is a past guest. He's one of our guests, and his the episode that he recorded that I think you guys need to hear if you haven't heard it was "I'm Not an Atheist." But Ruben shared with us one time, how you guys kind of had a friendship, and then he invited you, and then that ended up to you encountering Christ. Like, what was that like?
Yeah. So, so I always have known Ruben, but it was never, it wasn't ever. We didn't talk all the time. There wasn't consistent conversation, anything like that. But during the pandemic, he reached out to me because we're on social media, and he is like, "Hey, I want to pick your brain because I want to know how I can lead more people like you to the church." So I said, "Sure." At the time I was doing brainstorm sessions, I sent him a link to my calendar, and he, booked it, so to speak. We put it on the calendar. But then on that call, we start butting heads, because he's telling me about me and he doesn't know who I am. So he's like, "Yeah, because you're an atheist." And I'm like, I am? Like, where did you hear this? He was like, "Oh, I just heard." Yeah, like, because you don't know Jesus Christ. I'm like, "Yeah, I do." But that was a different thing for me, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I didn't know what I didn't know at the time. So we ended up getting into a fight on this Zoom call. But I still wanted to see what he wanted to pull people to. So on that next Sunday, I watched their live stream, and it was Pastor Rowe. And I know them through, the community, kind of like we have mutual friends. So I'm watching it objectively, right? And then I'm like, why am I crying? Like, why am I crying listening to the sermon? Why am I laughing? And I was like, oh, I enjoy this, right? So then when Kual opened its doors after the pandemic, I said, I know it's a special time for you guys. I'll take photos for you. And I'll, so you can have to promote and to do all that. Not knowing that was my armor of, I know those people are going to judge me. I don't want to walk in and for them to say, why is she here? Like, she has tattoos, she's this. That was just my thing. The next service was an audible that Pastor O got, and it transformed me. Mm. It was, I listened to the sermon, and it was in that moment I was like, oh, this is what I was missing. Like, this makes sense. Like, Jesus is like, all of that condemnation that that was instilled in me just dropped. Mm. And it has been so now that was October 2020. So now it's going on 2 years, and like, I don't miss church. Like, I don't miss a church service. Like, I'm dedicated. Like, I'm stepping up to be a leader. It's just been a whole amazing journey. Yeah, it's just been crazy, and yeah, I just feel blessed, and it's nuts.
And thank God for Ruben mansplaining.
Yeah. I was like, no, I literally said, "Are you mansplaining my religion to me?" And he was like, well, so we got into it, and I was like, "You're the youngest child, right? You think I'm going to cut you off?" I'm like, "I'm going to let you speak." I was just, telling him about himself. We were not friends by the end of that call, but I was still led to watch the service. Mm-hmm. And then I was still led to be in the building, and I was still led, so it's, yeah.
I love how God uses even our hiccups to bring people in, mm-hmm. Because that was definitely not the way to do it. And I think even Ruben would agree in hindsight. Yeah. But, God uses any means possible to lead us closer to his love, because at the end of the day, he doesn't want us to come in just so that we could put a little notch on our numbers. You know what I mean? He wants to save people because he literally loves people. He loves people. He adores us. And just seeing how he found a way to bring you in at his time, mm-hmm. at your time, at the right time, I think is just amazing. And like she shared, I mean, she's definitely being modest, definitely being humble. I mean, she's been able to take our live stream to a whole nother level, our mm-hmm. media to a whole nother level, our videos, our pictures to a whole nother level. I do want to ask you this. During the pandemic, a lot of churches closed. Mm-hmm. And the reason that they closed was they weren't prepared for the new community that needed to be reached out to by way of video and television and YouTube. How do you see that evolving, or do you think it's going to plateau? Like, what do you think is going to happen with the online community moving forward?
So that's a good question. It's not even that the church closed, right? It's that we were in the middle of a pandemic. So take away the pandemic, and let's just say all churches closed. I think that would be a different conversation. But I think that what was happening during the pandemic, people were depressed. People were seeking more. So realistically, the pandemic pushed us live, but we're now able to reach people who can't get out of their houses.
Yeah.
Because of sadness, because of grief. People are losing people, and they can't make it out yet. And what I love about that is that when we first opened our doors, there was a couple of us, but we still were online. And now it's more and more, and the momentum is growing. And people are saying, I couldn't wake up sometimes because I was depressed. Even us being at 4 p.m., I was able to get to the service. So more people are going to join. But I don't think we'll ever shift out of it because there's still people who are suffering and can't make it in the way that some others can. So that flexibility it's been paramount.
So good.
And I think it's interesting what you said before about wearing your photography talent as an armor. Can you explain that a little bit? Was it something that you had to prove to them that you're valuable and that you belong somewhere?
No, I was afraid of the looks that I thought that I was going to get, because so that was part of from my Catholic upbringing, but also I have friends that are Christians, but I think that they kind of perceived to me that Pentecostal style of you can't walk in and you're tattooed. So it painted the picture of they're not gonna like me, but if I have a camera, I have a purpose to be there. So they're not gonna question it. They're not gonna be like, she don't know Jesus. They're gonna be like, oh, she's a photographer. It's okay that she looks like that. So it was, in hindsight, it was my armor. I didn't know that it was at the time. So good. But it's just funny because now I'm diving into the armor of God, and I'm like, no, that wasn't my armor. That wasn't a protection. It was stifling me in that moment, but it did still lead me there. So I'm okay.
So good. At our church, one of our main things is that love is our logo, right? And we're very big on that. And I'm so excited about where that's headed. Now, when you come in and you feel like you have to put this armor, that you have to create a little a buffer kind of between you and church folk, how did you feel when you saw it? What helped you understand that wasn't needed anymore?
Oh, it was immediate. I immediately knew I didn't need it, but I was there. I saw take the pictures, I showed up with my camera, but so the people there, just the love radiates off of them. They saw me, and immediately people who didn't know me embraced me and loved me and pulled me in a way that I was like, oh, wait, this doesn't line up with the picture I thought.
Right. With your past experiences, maybe.
Yeah. And I was like, wait, they're really nice, And when I bring people to church, and what I overhear is that they're like, man, you guys love people. They always feel so welcome. I heard it best from my friend Zab, his uncle. He's like, oh, I know Kuhau. He's like, Kuhau's the type of church that it's your first time. He goes, someone will sit with you with tissues and rub your back during the service. That's how much love there is. And I'm like, that's a perfect example of Kuhau. It's just we got boundaries, but we love hard. Yeah. So yeah.
And just for pastors out there, for leaders out there that are hearing this interview, and you're hearing this, and maybe you're kind of being confronted somewhat because of that's just what we learned, right? Like we learned we had to be a certain way. We learned that certain things were acceptable and unacceptable. But I just want to really not confront you, but encourage you to get back in your word, get back in the scriptures, and see that at the end of the day, the only thing Jesus has commanded us is to love God and love others, with no strings attached. And I think that your story perfectly portrays this, and I'm believing that a pastor out there is going to hear this and is going to rearrange his whole paradigm as to how to win people, because we didn't know what you did. We didn't know how good you do what you do. We just knew that you were someone that deserved God's love, that God loves, and we tried to give you that.
They definitely didn't know how good I was, because later on they're like, we wish that we knew how good you were with video and photo before the pandemic, because we were struggling, And I'm like, yeah, I saw, like, it was bad, like, and going back, I'm like, yeah, you struggled, but I'm here now, so
It's so good. That's so good.
So it started off, I'm an interesting character, because I served the second I walked into the church.
Yeah.
Which is like,
without even kind of knowing it, you were just dumped right in there.
Because I didn't know this. I also didn't even know the culture, so I was like, yeah, I'll help. And then, so then I served, and I was like, yeah, I can help out again, but then they were like, no, let us pour into you first. And it was that, like, let us love you first, and also show you how much Jesus loves you first, because they needed help, but it was like, it wasn't a concern of theirs. Like my heart posture was the concern, really so.
That's really good. And again, I mean, you're dropping stuff that needs to be like taught in seminars, in a lot of our churches, because we've lost the essence of who we're supposed to be. Right. And you're sharing things that it's like, like, this is what we need right here. Like, we need examples of people that have been radically transformed, but it wasn't because we prophesied over you. It wasn't because we gave you the 7 steps and the 10 days of fasting. It was just love.
Yep.
Love, no strings, love. And that has changed you.
Right. And I think love can sound really scary for people, right? Some people are like, I don't tell my mom I love it. Some people are like that. So I just want to translate love into a very simple thing. No judgment, smiling at people, being okay with a hug. Like, that's love at its very simple, and that's where you could start. Like, because that's what they did. They smiled at me, they embraced me, and they didn't judge me. And now I know the depths of their love, and it's stronger than that, right? It's pouring into each other, coming alongside, doing life with each other. That's also love. But as a starting point, love is smile at someone, don't judge them.
Yeah, that's so good. And I feel for like those people that have had negative experiences at a church, whether it's Pentecostal or a Catholic church, and I feel for them, because there's a verse in, I think it's in 1 Samuel, that says that the Lord doesn't see the way man sees. Like, the man will see the exterior, but God looks at your heart. And it's like, if people were to understand that, we see a picture of someone, a girl coming in, she has a full sleeve, and she has this really cool haircut and really fashionable clothes and all this stuff.
My haircut was cute at the time. Okay, it's grown out now, but yes, I receive
it. I'm sure she had like a really awesome like fashion and stuff.
Yes.
And like always,
you're speaking my love language, so go on.
And they may have like this judgment, and it's just kind of, I hate to say it, but it's kind of natural for people to like to look and judge. But that's one of the things I really love about Kuha too. Like, we don't want to judge people. Like, there's such a value to every person, no matter what they look like in the outside. And I think that's something that all churches should practice.
Yeah, I think that people judge, I feel, instinctually out of survival.
Right.
Because it's like, she looks like that person that scorned me 10 years ago, so I automatically don't like her, right? And what you were saying about, like, God sees us in a different way, and we can see people in the same way, in the way of, a pastor said, we need to see people for not what they're giving us, but who God has called them to be. And when he said that, I was just like, like
Yeah.
forget about that, the nasty commenters they're saying right now. Forget about what they're wearing right now. Like, I know what God can do because God did that in me.
Yeah.
And I could see their potential, and I'm like, that's what that's what I'm speaking to. I'm speaking to that person, you know. So
I love that.
get-
I love that. And I love what Anna just said about the value, right? Like, because they valued you as a person,
Yeah.
right? How much would you say the value of what you do, with the excellence in which you do it, how much would a church have to pay that?
like monetary, you're talking.
Yes.
So on any given week, my services can be like, on average, I could get paid $5,000 a day for the work that I do.
And I need pastors to hear this, right? $5,000 a day.
Yeah, that's my starting.
How much are you getting at the moment?
0.
See, but this is what happens when you value someone and value them, you know, in an honest way, in a loving way, in a genuine way. What ends up happening is that people begin to honor back, and because of the value you place on them, they place their gifts at your service, and it adds value to the church. And I think we got it backwards a lot of times.
I'll go a step further and say that, you know, the most money I make is a wedding day, you know, starting at $5,000. I now don't take weddings on Sundays. So it's not even just that I'm not getting paid. It's that I've said, you know what? My Sunday is important to me. So much so that I'm okay because I know God's going to provide. Like, it might not be on a Sunday. This could be a Monday, Tuesday, whatever day.
People getting married all days of the week. So
Right.
But since you made that decision, have you seen a shift in your finances?
Funny enough, I'm getting less Sunday inquiries and more like, so I just had a call and it's going to be on a Monday because it's Labor Day. So it's like I have gotten Thursday weddings, you know, and it still shows that like provision there. Like, all right, cool. Like you gave that day. God's like, you gave that day to me. I got you on another day because there's 7 days in a week. Give one to God. Just give, you know, like, like give every day, but dedicate one to God, you know, like I don't think it's that much to, you know, I don't even see a monetary value on that Sunday. Like I don't want to, because I see what's being poured into me and my life is changing, and it's just,
that's so good. And that's another thing, like, again, like this is so valuable, this episode, because I feel that that's definitely something that people need to hear, because a lot of people have that struggle. Like, no, but you know, Sunday's the day that I get to rest. Sunday's the day that I get to chill. Sunday's my day, or laundry day, or this.
So what
day.
is it? Sunday fun day?
Sunday fun day. For me, Sunday fun day is like being around y'all. Like I love coming into community. Well, and when we go out to eat, which can happen again, thank you, Jesus.
Well, yeah. Well, something I told my best friend when I was first inviting her to church, she was saying, I feel like I don't have time to come to church. And I was like, you got to trust me on this. When you give time to God, you get that time back way more.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's like it is a rest day. You're not in bed, but you're resting your soul. You're resting it in what he's doing. Like, and she has seen that. So, and I'm happy that she's trusted me. So when she's planning a wedding right now. So when she's not like physically booked, she's like, this Sunday she's coming, you know?
That's so cool.
And I'm like, that's amazing, you know? So it's true. It's like, give that Sunday. You think that your time is being taken. No, it's an investment. There's like compound interest on your time. When you give it to God, like there's more coming, you know?
It's so good. The other day we had one of our leadership meetings, and when we left, I was speaking to my wife, and I was like, babe, like, do you see Amanda though? Like something's happening there. Right? And it's been just a shift that is visible. Yeah. So what are some of the recent things that you can share with the audience that you feel that God is doing in your life?
So can I talk about the Enneagram? Because it's
Speaking of Enneagram, we have a whole series in our library, so just check it out when you're done.
So something that happened, and it's just weird to even think it hasn't even been a full week yet, right? So you're not the only person who's like, there's a shift in Amanda. I've been hearing that left and right. Like, there's a shift in you. There's a shift in you. So Friday night. So, okay. So the reason why I say Enneagram, my Enneagram type, I'm a 9. We're slothy. We love sleep. You know, we love it. I value it.
Yes.
Like, I don't miss a night of sleep. I don't miss it. I love it.
Sleep.
You know,
like it feels so good. It feels
I get
amazing.
excited to sleep.
Me too. Like that preparation.
Yes.
Like I get giddy. Like
Yes,
let's
I
go.
do. Yes. I'm like, I'm so excited right now. Like in my bed, you know, I love it. Right. So I love it. That's not necessarily a healthy thing to love it that much. Right. That's fair to say. Especially because in growth, I go to a 3 and that's the achiever, you know? So Friday night, it just so happened that like we had a long day, you know, it was a bunch of friends hanging out and they were staying over. And I started having this feeling like I'm not going to go to sleep. I'm like, I'm not going to go to sleep. And it became a panic. And I was like, oh my God, it's already been 18 hours, like, or 20 hours that I've been up, right? Or no, I think it was like 24 hours at that point that I've been awake. But then I wasn't tired. So I start freaking out. And so I go up to, Ruben was there at the time. There's a bunch of us. And I was like, at first I went up to him and I was like, I can't sleep. And I'm just like, and I start crying and I'm like breaking down. And he's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, I'm afraid I can't sleep. And it's scaring me even more that I can't sleep. And we were just trying to figure it out. And so Ruben's there, Emily's there. And so Emily's kind of like waiting on the side. Like she was in communication with him, kind of like, let me know when you need me, you know, like kind of being there.
So the helper was ready to help?
Yes, the helper. Yes, she was there, you know. And then, but the thing is, I was getting depressive in a moment. Again, this has never happened to me before. I've never cried over lack of sleep because I've never missed sleep. I love sleep, right? So I start crying, and everything was making me sad, like sad. And even knowing that Emily was there waiting to help me, I was like, it's gonna happen to her. She's not gonna get sleep, like this. And it was weird. And I was like, I don't know why this is happening. So we're going through these things. We're praying. We're listening to. I'm trying to like, all right. Well, my routine is like I do a Bible plan before bed. So maybe I got off my routine, trying to bring myself back, and nothing was working.
We're sorry about that, guys.
So nothing was working, and it was freaking me out even more. So this is hours. I'm calculating, and I'm like, I've been up for like 30. I'm like, I think I've been up for like 33 hours at this point. And I'm like freaking out, and I'm crying, and I'm hyperventilating. I can't breathe, and I'm sad. I'm just like, I don't know what's going on. I feel like I'm going crazy, right? And the thing that pulled me out of it was, what would the worst case scenario look like? What's the fear there? What am I afraid of? So I don't get sleep. What? I'm not gonna die, right? Or what is the fear there? So I was like, I want to ask myself, I want to see what the worst case scenario is. And I was like, I guess worst case scenario is like, I gotta go to the ER and they'll give me a shot and I'll go to sleep. And then I was like, okay, that's not that bad. So then I finally came down after hours of trying all the things. But the thing that got me was that, what's the worst case scenario? See it out. Right. Because we're afraid of the fear. So we don't want to see it out. But oftentimes that's keeping us from the solution. So now that calms me down. Emily's there. She comes and we're on the couch and she's like sleeping next to me like, hey, like I'm here for you. So this whole time up to that, I was crying like, so then I'm praying and I'm talking to God. I'm like talking to God. And then all of a sudden, like tears start flowing down, but they're different tears. It's joy. And I feel calm. And I feel in the moment God say, you're waiting for a miracle to happen, but you don't understand your blessings are there. They're there in the people that I've equipped you with on earth. So lean on them. And I was just like, joy, you know? And I look around and Emily's there to help me. Ruben's there to help me. Yvette, she's in her dreams fighting my spiritual battles. Later on, she was dreaming about me. Wow. You know? So then I was able to go to sleep and it was good. And then what's weird is then the next day in the shower, I think it was in the shower first, I just start getting this like flood of like, I felt like God talking to me stronger. And so the whole weekend after that, then it was like, that was Friday, Saturday. Actually, Saturday, I felt weak. I felt like I was taken out. I felt like I had just gotten out of the hospital. I felt like, you know. But then those people that were there were like helping me. They were caring for me. They were like, you know, like Emily was like, I got you food, you know, we got this, you know. Everyone was just so sweet that by Sunday, I was just different. I was filled with joy. And here's the crazy thing. I didn't get more sleep.
Wow.
I did not get more sleep. I got, I think, 4 hours more out of that time. And I was at church just like, like, I felt God just was like, now you get it. God's like, now you get it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like I can move in you. You don't need sleep. Wow. Wait, you need sleep. But like, but here's the thing. I love to sleep. And what's interesting is it fell on the fast. So the last 2 days of the fast, but I slipped. I was eating meat and I was doing all those things, but I gave up a thing that I really loved. Weirdly, I gave up sleep. And since then, yeah, I feel a shift. I feel a shift in myself. And people are saying like, it's not just how I am acting, but what I'm speaking. Like, I'm weirdly speaking life into them where I feel put aside. And God's like, I'm going to use it right now. Hold up. Here's what you should tell them. And they're like, what? It's just like, you know? That's so good. So I'm like, I think that's where it came from. But also, I've been doing journaling. I've been doing the Daniel fast. I've been praying. I've also been praying without ceasing leading up to that moment. So, you know, like there was a convergence of lack of sleep being put to my fear, but also knowing I have strength because I prayed up for that moment. And it's just been different. The whole week, I feel like it's a flood of like, just things are just coming to me. That's so good. I'm even better at math. I was like, which is funny because it's what you speak life into, right? For so long, I'm like, nah, I suck at math. And today I was like, oh, that's this. And Emily, she's really good at math because she worked at a bank. And she was like, yeah, that was it. And I was like, what? I'm like, what? This is so weird. So it's a weird, freaky experience. I don't know how to explain it because I'm new to this stuff. It's been 2 years. I never thought I'd have, it feels like an intimacy with God, you know? Sorry about that too.
I felt that. I felt the word.
I love what you're sharing. I love the realness of it, the rawness of it. Because that's ultimately who I feel who God is and who he desires to be. You know, he desires to have these very real experiences with us and everything that you're sharing, you know, taking you to the brink of your greatest fear to give you your greatest breakthrough. And again, I mean, we all see it. Like it's visible, it's palpable, it's real. What God is doing in your life. So I could only imagine like what's next. You know what I mean? It's gotta be exciting for you.
So yes and no. I'm not excited for me because what I've been seeing is like mantles on people's lives. So like I spoke to someone and I was like, we had a moment where I looked at him and I was like, you're this great, but like you're gonna be this great, and I can't even imagine it. And it was blowing my mind. So I'm starting to see these things of even more. Like I'm seeing who God has called them to me, but like in an abundant way that I've never seen. So it's like I'm excited for me, but really, I feel grateful and blessed that God was like, I want to use you. You know, I don't know how this feeling is gonna wear off or whatever. But it's more of like I'm excited that I'm disciplined enough that I can, you know, seek counsel on those things and like be a shepherd of like reach out to shepherds to shepherd my gift. But really I'm excited for like what I'm seeing because I feel like I'm getting insight into people's.
It's like you get that front row seat at a concert. Like you get to see everything.
Yes.
As opposed to like all the way in the nosebleeds who like get to see this little thing.
And I'm not playing on stage, right? Because that's exciting.
Right.
but I'm right there like, yeah,
Yeah,
you
but
know?
you see
Yes,
everything.
that's a good example.
Yeah,
I love
yeah,
that.
Yeah. I love what you said about community too. Like having those people there
Mhm.
and what God shared with you. Like I have placed people like by you.
Mhm.
And I think that's one of the things that I know like we were looking for last year. One of our goals was like we want community. But I didn't think it was going to feel this good.
Yeah.
Like I didn't think like, yeah, I wanted community too. I wanted to like build with people, but this just is more like community is so important.
Mhm.
Like even with you guys, with Hafi and the cause and effect crew, like that community like is so important to have like those guys back you up and to build something with them. And it's just so important. Like I think community is amazing.
And I just want to say, like, and we love you too so much. Like, so it's like the feeling is like mutual. You know, it's like we had the community, but we didn't know we needed the Marquezes, and now we're like, yes, like we just love them. You know, so
Even from like the first day that we actually like hung out, this girl bought me bubble tea. And
oh
so,
yeah, I did.
yes,
I
she
totally
did.
forgot about that.
I never forget
Aw.
ever, because that's like my love language. That's not really a love language. It's food.
Oh yeah,
And-
I think that is a sixth one for sure.
And you immediately like showed your kindness and your heart, and you went like, well, let's just go get a bubble tea, because nobody else wanted to get bubble tea, and you offered it, and I was like, oh wow, this is like really cool. Like I don't even know her, and she's like, yeah, let's go get it.
Yeah.
I'll get it. Don't worry. It was awesome.
Thank you for, because that was just an unlock of a memory, and I was like, wow, you know, and it kind of goes to show you is sometimes you don't know the love that you give is gonna unlock something too, you know.
And it doesn't have to be a huge thing. You know, you don't have to make it into an event. You don't have to make it into something crazy. You know, it's just a simple thing. I really, really love what you've shared. I mean, you've shared so many nuggets that I wasn't even planning for,
Yes.
that are going to bless so many
God.
people.
I'm telling you, it's
But usually we like to end it by allowing the guest to share a few seconds, a minute, maybe two, of that last little piece of advice or that last little moment of inspiration. Like, look in that camera, and if you can share one thing, what would
it's hard
that be?
because my face is there, and I'm used to looking at that. But I'm gonna try to. Okay, but still, that's not my face. Can you put it next to my face? Don't be vain. That's my last piece of okay. Man, I don't know because. Okay. What's been on my heart recently is, more. Do not stop praying. Never cease to pray, because one, your breakthrough is right there, but you don't know if you stop praying that you know.
Yeah, you'll never know.
You'll never
if you stop.
You never know. And the problem is, I was having this conversation with May, and she was just throwing things, and I was just like, oh, let me get it out. So she was like, sometimes, you know, we give something to God, and he's not working fast enough, so we pick it up. We pick it up, and we think, see, he's not doing anything, and then it never comes. So my suggestion is continue to pray. Get discipline on it, but not in a religious way. Allow that conversation to flow. Cause your best friend. And I forgot to look at myself. So look into the camera. Just continue to pray like I promised, because, you know, your circumstance might not change, but you're going to change and you're going to adapt. And something is going to happen, and God's going to work, and God's going to move. And I am an example, because I'm like, if you showed me this podcast 3 years ago, I'd be like, who is that? No, like, what is she talking about?
Imposter.
You know, but I feel it so strongly that I'm like, pray, keep that line of communication open. Start small, you know, be intentional about your prayers. Have fun with it. Have a conversation. Have a prayer room. There's so many ways to connect with God in prayer that it shouldn't get boring. It shouldn't get boring, and your breakthrough's right there. It's right there. So just continue. And even after you get your breakthrough, you're going to be praying in gratitude. You're going to be like, thank you, Jesus. And I've been having those moments.
So good.
Last thing, with the fast, this is a perfect example. The fast, right? I decided I was going to do the fast, strict, no coffee. Yeah. No coffee.
It was the same one.
I have tattooed on me coffee. Okay, so you know I like it. You know I like it. But what I integrated was prayer every day, reading my Bible every day, and journaling every day, right? For the fast, 21 days. I went through my book, read from start to end. You know, I think I missed like 2 days, but it was about 17 entries. My first journal entry at the end said, I pray that my prayers get answered, right? But the end, the last one was, thank you so much, God. Thank you. Thank you. Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude.
Yeah.
And the only thing that changed was I continued to pray. And I just felt gratitude. So don't think that prayer needs to be asking. Don't think it doesn't have to be anything other than that communication. And it's just necessary. That's your Father. He wants to talk to you.
Yeah.
So good.
That's really good.
You want to say anything?
I love you, Amanda.
I love you. Are we best friends? Did we just become best friends? Yeah.
And if I would have met you before I got married, I would have hired you as my photographer.
Don't worry.
But
There's always anniversary photos. We got this.
This has been another great episode. We pray that you have enjoyed it. And if you have enjoyed it, let someone know. Share this forward with people that you love. Maybe people that you don't love so much, they need to hear it too. But just share it. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Let other people know. If you have a question, put it in the comments. We'll try to answer you as quickly as we can. God bless you guys, and see you next week. Let's go.
Bye.
I could